Hey guys, so it's no secret that the car market is absolutely tanking. So today I'm going to talk about why. I'm going to tell you what you can do to kind of prevent that and maybe what might happen in the future. So like I said, the car market is absolutely tanking. Now that might be one way to look at it, but another way to look at it is, how about we just rewind back to 2019, 2020, 2021? Let's look at those prices and then compare them to today's prices where, you know, realistically we are kind of back to. So 2019, 2020, cars were fairly normal. You know, you buy a car, usually it goes down in value unless it's something very limited where, you know, cars like a GT3, GT3 RS might hold their value, go up a little bit, or obviously you have the Ferrari limited edition cars that always, no matter what, go up in value, and that's just because how the market is kind of manipulated. But COVID hit and the market went absolutely insane. And what I mean by that is supplies became very low, and it was just so hard to get cars. And for some reason, a lot of people found their way into a lot of money that they did not have before. What that did is it made a lot of people impatient, and certain people that couldn't get allocations for brand new cars just kind of paid the premium and they didn't really care. And you know, the cars kept going up, and every time you thought you were at a peak, they would just keep going up. So after a few months of that, people kind of started assuming that, you know, the market just always going to go up. You know, we're seeing inflation or whatever it is, cars are going to get higher in price, and it's better to jump in now rather than later because it's just going to be higher later. Now, for a long time, that was not a big problem because interest rates were not crazy yet. So, you know, you could finance a car 3.99, 4.99, 5.99%, even if you're paying a little bit over. It's nothing crazy, it's nothing insane, and that kind of drove up prices of cars like G-Wagons and even like Escalades to, you know, well over sticker. You know, G-Wagons were going for, in Canadian dollars at least, 150 over sticker, which has never happened before. It's just an SUV, it's a mass production car. They're always going to come out with a new version. The new one is always going to be better than the old one, but people just were impatient. They had more money than they knew what to do with, so they just went ahead and did it. And this went to a crazy extent, and not only did people that like cars and know cars do this, but also certain people that didn't really know about cars, that just came into money, became a part of it. And people that knew nothing about the market, nothing knew about the brands, would buy, you know, your regular cars, Huracans, F8s, all these cars that, you know, everybody that knows kind of knows that the next version is just going to be better than the old version, and there's a lot of them. They're not limited production, anybody can go into a dealership and get them. They're paying over sticker for these cars, and they didn't know what they're buying, and they just felt too confident, and everybody thought every car was an investment. Now, the thing that halted it is probably 8 months ago, a year ago, interest rates started going up. What that did is it made these cars a lot more unaffordable. So now, you know, you go from 4%, 5% to 9%, 10% on some of these cars, and your payments are looking drastically different. You know, you're looking at a 30, 40%, maybe 50% more in payments, depending on the car, depending on everything. And that kind of made people slow down when it comes to buying cars. And the issue with that is a lot of people that bought cars with, even with the better rates, either they did zero down on their financing, but they didn't put a lot down, and most of the people that did this actually did finance the cars. Once interest rates went up on cars, they also went up on mortgages. So a lot of people now didn't have as much money as they thought they did, and they needed to get out of a lot of cars. But the problem is, when you go to sell your car that you bought for $100,000 over sticker, $200,000 over sticker, but you finance it at 5%, it's not as easy for the next guy to buy it because the next guy is not financing at 5%. That's not available anymore. So most people that are buying Huracans, that are buying G-Wagons, that are buying those cars aren't buying them cash. They're financing them, and now the interest rate just went to 9%. So the budget has to be a lot bigger than the previous person. Not only that, most of the time, all of these cars that they're buying were mass-produced cars. Now dealerships are back to having inventory, and they're offering better rates on the new cars. Now, the previous buyer paid over sticker for a car because the dealership didn't have inventory. But now the dealership has inventory. You don't really need to pay over sticker. You got to get out of your car, but the interest rate on used cars is a lot higher than interest rates on new cars. The issue with that becomes that people that want to buy that car that you want to sell are just going to go to the dealership, get a brand new car for the same payment that your used one would cost, even with a discount on top from MSRP. But why would you do that? You know, it made no sense to buy used cars. So now all these cars are absolutely tanking because people have to get out of them, and these people that finance them at $100,000 worth of sticker, they're $100,000 upside down on a car, which means they literally have to pay $100,000 to get out of their loan. So where we sit today, we're sitting in a market that you have a lot of people that had money back then or had less expenses back then, could afford certain cars, and now they have to get rid of them, and they pretty much can't afford to get rid of them. So they're trying to dump them at the lowest price where they'll be able to afford to get out of them, and the markets are flooding with them. And not only are the markets flooding with them, new cars are available. So we got to a point where it's so hard to sell used cars that the market is just tanking and tanking and tanking. And because of that, you're seeing that whatever you think your car is worth, you know, you go to a dealer, you try to sell your car, and you're getting these embarrassingly low offers, it is justified. You're not being ripped off. It just, the dealers can't sell them, individuals can't sell them, because most of these mid-range cars people are financing, and just nobody wants to finance anything at 9.99%, 8.99%. They're just gonna go buy a new car, lease a new car, whatever it is, that's what they're gonna go do. So what could you do to kind of avoid that, or not really get as affected by this market crash? So what you do to kind of solve that and not have to worry about your car absolutely tanking and making sure your car still has value, you buy a car that you know the next car is not going to be as good as the last one that they made. And where that might sound a little bit hard, we're in a very good time for that, because everything is going hybrid now. Everything is going electric now. Less manuals, less rear-wheel drive, a lot more smaller engine. So you just have to find the last little bit of the very driver-involved cars, because the people that want these cars aren't willing to compromise. They're not willing to go and take the automatic version or the hybrid version. You know, they want a car that they can feel that like they're driving. So you just got to go to certain brands that you know are about to kind of finish with that, and those are the cars you buy. So peak COVID market, I was hearing people saying that they're buying a Cullinan as an investment and they're going to flip it, or they're buying Range Rovers and they're going to flip them, and they're buying Ghosts and Bentleys and all that. And that is such a terrible idea. And I told those people, nobody listened to me, and so many people are now stuck with Rolls-Royce Cullinans. And again, I'm going to talk in Canadian dollars, but Rolls-Royce Cullinans that they paid $700,000-800,000 for, Ghosts that they paid $600,000 for, Bentleys that they paid $400,000 for. And historically, all you had to do is look back to 2019. What's a 5-year-old Rolls-Royce worth? About a third of what a new Rolls-Royce cost. And that kind of applies for all of those cars. But historically, you know, you look at Porsche GT3s, you look at, you know, any analog car, Carrera GT came out, obviously that flew up, but just cars are a driver involved. I think certain manual Aston Martins are great buys. Certain Ferraris right now, because we're kind of in an era where we're switching from electric to hybrid to whatever, from gas ones, the last ones right now are the ones to buy. You know, F12s, A12s, 48s, F8s, not bad buys. But you just have to be a little smarter and see what's coming in the future. Look back to 2019, 2020, what cars depreciated, what cars didn't. It's so simple, and people just forgot about the history of cars and they didn't know what to buy. You know, you want to try to get those limited edition cars. Those are the real investments. You know, it was so crazy that people thought pickup trucks were investments and everything was investments. So as long as you're buying a car right now that you truly like and you believe in the value and is an enjoyable car to drive, and it's not just a flashy car that a new one comes out every few years, you will be okay, and the market will reward you, because I don't think they're going to make too many new ones like that. Everything is just becoming a lot more computerized. That plus any discontinued cars, that I'm not saying discontinue where they're going to make a new version. Any car that they're done, like a Viper, anything like that, you're pretty safe, because if someone wants it, they have no other choice. They can't go to the dealer and buy a new one. But you just cannot buy these AMGs and expect them to go up, these M cars and expect them to go up, RS cars. You just can't do that, and too many people did in peak COVID. Now, what I think you should do if you're currently on the market is, even if you find a raw car, maybe wait a little bit, because most likely you're going to be financing a car, and right now at 9.99%, even if you pay 20-30 grand more in a few years, you're probably still better off payment wise. But a lot of cars that I truly believe in the value are falling a little bit right now, but I do think in the future they're going to be classics, and you can tell by their history. I think 991.2 GT3s, you know, they're dropping right now quite a lot, but I do think if you wait another few months, another year, when interest rates start to even out before they start going back up, because they will, buy those cars and you're going to be okay. Buy, you know, a lot of older raw Ferraris, you're going to be okay. Older Lamborghinis, you're going to be okay. Just stuff that nothing similar is still being built. So yeah, that's what I think about the market. I think right now we're in the middle of a decline. Just wait another few months, maybe a year. Interest rates will even out a little bit. They're not going to be back to where they were, but with the cars decreasing in price, we're going to be back to a better position, and that's going to be a time to buy. But right now, if you like the car you have, just hold on to it. Don't rush to sell it, because you might think you're getting the money for it, but you're not going to be able to replacement payment wise, because the interest rates are probably double what you're paying right now.